Find real information about your subject from credible sources. Know what you're talking about. This will help you in a number of ways. If you know what you're talking about and you formulate questions based on knowing what you're talking about, you will get much better answers from the people that you're interviewing. I guarantee it. You know? Because if you don't know what you're talking about, they don't have to dig deep or think about the answer. They could tell you any old thing. They could tell you that agenda off the top of their head. I used to work City Hall under Dinkins. Great privilege. So when you interview a politician, you can ask them, what color is the sky today? And they'll say, children need better breakfast before they go to school. They are deliberately not listening to you because they have their own agenda, right? They have what are called talking points, right? They are going to get those talking points in no matter what. It is their job. Stand firm in your question. You can say, that's very nice, but what we're here today to talk about is ecology. And I think that your perspective on this will be very interesting to our audience. So, you know, what we used to do at City Hall is they would give the printed speech, right? And all the journalists would be around, and then, you know, we'd just listen to see if they changed anything in the prepared speech that was printed out, because it wasn't news if it'd been printed already and handed out. Everybody already got that, so what's new? And we'd just wait until it was over, and then we'd ask the questions that we want answers to, right? Because we had our own news agendas, right? But what Koch would do, and what your new president does, is he doesn't answer questions from certain people. Koch would ban people from City Hall. If you asked the wrong questions, you would get kicked out and you could not come back. I don't care if your company paid for a desk in City Hall or not, you know, you were out, right? You were fired. So you have to find ways to stay on point. Sometimes you can do it gently. Other times you have to do it very firmly. But you are shaping the story that you're telling. And it's very important that the interview be a collaboration, going back to interviewing like Oprah, right? Between you and the person that you're interviewing, you're creating a way to share information together. Here's another thing you can do. You can talk to the person in advance. Very often people will come, they're on the circuit doing interviews because they have a book or a movie or a new program to promote, right? So instead of forcing them to insert their agenda into your agenda, you can make a deal with them up front. You can say, you see this a lot on late night talk shows, right? You can say, you know, I'd love to give you 3 minutes at the end of our segment to talk about your new book. How's it going, by the way? You know, I read a little bit of it, and it seems like really interesting. It touches on our topic today in X, Y, and Z ways. So we can weave it in a little bit into the interview, but I want to give you some time at the end so that you can really talk directly about that. If you want to teach somebody anything, you have to get their attention first. And so you are called upon to entertain them a little bit, right? To get their attention so you can tell them what you have to tell them. Bring color into what you do. Find a way to make it really and truly interesting and unexpected and different, right? A lot of times what we do, we're not even conscious that we're doing this, is we try to imitate something we've seen before, right? We try to do an interview like Oprah or an interview like Barbara Walters, or we do an interview like Charlie Rose, You know, we copy the things we've seen because we think that that's the right way to do it, right? And if we can just do it like the people we see on TV, we'll be real pros. But the opportunity you have here is a very special one, and that's to do things differently, to find your own way of creating your show by really connecting with your guests and sometimes even being a little outrageous, you know, wearing something that's memorable or quoting a passage that inspired you, or bringing something or someone who would never get on the TV at ABC or NBC into a studio to tell their story. You think you know the answers, and when you think you know, you cut off all possibility of any other information, right? You cut off the ability to be delightfully surprised. You cut off the ability to find out something and to share with your audience, more importantly, something that's new and interesting and that they didn't already know. If you don't listen fully with your heart, you're going to miss a lot of what's going on in the interview. And it's really the difference between a high quality interview that really delivers and an ordinary run-of-the-mill interview that sort of just hangs out there and falls flat. So, you know, the thing that you got to get in this L section, right, is sometimes we have our shows, we think it's my show, I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, you are my guest, and so like what I say goes. The problem with this point of view is that when you take this attitude, you are very locked into one way of thinking about your topic. You think you know, right? So you're going to talk about police brutality, and you think you know it's rampant, and you think you know there's been this many incidences, and you think you know that most cops who given the chance will beat the crap out of a young person of color, right? You think you know the answers, and when you think you know, you cut off all possibility of any other information, right? You cut off the ability to be delightfully surprised. You cut off the ability to find out something and to share with your audience, more importantly, something that's new and interesting and that they didn't already know.